since the incident that triggered the emotional flashback. I'm not calling this anxiety and depression anymore. Okay, so let's call it anxiety for the sake of everybody understanding what just happened. I've said recently that I've made a full recovery from anxiety and depression. I've been made free for 6 or 7 months now, something. It is doable. Recovery is possible. And then on Tuesday, I had a meeting with, I can't disclose too much, but a challenging situation. I knew I was going into an environment that would trigger me. I thought I was prepared. I was blindsided in the meeting. And then something else happened. There were two or three triggers, and then something else happened. And I felt during the exchange, the anxiety kick in, the fight-flight response. I felt the adrenaline start pumping through my body. I froze. I was unable to think or speak clearly. I just sat there kind of wide-eyed, which is one of my responses. The freeze response when I'm threatened, and the other one is the fight response. I also fawn. And recently I've been trying to flee, but I haven't had much success. So I felt it happen. I felt the adrenaline kick in. I felt myself freeze. My mind went blank. I couldn't respond to the questions correctly. The person was shouting at me quite aggressively. It's one of my triggers. And I felt the adrenaline pump and my body start to shake. And this person actually saw it happen because they looked a bit confused, and they actually glanced at my hands because suddenly my hands began to shake. So during the exchange, it happened instantaneously, as it does with a trigger. My mistake was not leaving that situation and addressing it immediately, which was foolish. In future, I will do this. Even if I don't think I've been triggered, if I know I'm in an environment where something like this can occur, I'm actually going to follow, and I'm going to put a little package together for myself, see if it works, and then I'll share it next time, because I didn't do anything. I came home, I had a child to look after, it was dinner time, the meeting had run on late, and I didn't do anything about it. And then on the following day, on the Wednesday, the acting out began. And for me, the acting out is addictive behaviors. And for me, addictive behaviors are codependency. I used to use substances and alcohol. It's been food related. There are various things that one can. And when I say addiction, it doesn't mean that you're stuffing, shooting heroin into your eyeballs. It means that one is not able to sit and be present with feelings, and will use any other means, even if it's mini-series, to avoid dealing with uncomfortable feelings. That is addiction in a nutshell. So what I saw on Wednesday was, and I carried on with the program I'm working, was the anxiety. I felt it in my body. I felt the dis-ease and the fear. I went to a meeting. I go to a support group. That night, I came home with an extra packet of biscuits, and I ate the whole packet. And I don't eat sugar. And I was aware while I was doing it, sitting, scrolling endlessly on social media. Okay, highly addictive. That's highly addictive behavior. And I was aware I was doing it, but I didn't do anything about it. I did little bits of the stuff that I do to stay balanced. But the Thursday, same thing. Now, the anxiety I can feel in my body, it's starting, and now I'm starting to look tired, right? Because also the insomnia has kicked in. Regardless of the fact that I take half an over-the-counter sleeping pill. It's bizarre that, and this is what I keep saying, these medications don't work when it's a trigger. Because even when I was on anxiety meds at one stage, if I had a full-on trigger, I would have a panic attack on the anxiety meds. So this is not a mental thing. This is a physical response built in. Doesn't make sense. Anyway, so Thursday now, like day, what's it? Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going on to day 3 of like really bad sleep, late for me is half past 1 in the morning. 2 in the morning, waking up at like, now my sleep patterns are going out. I'm waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning instead of 6 or 6:30. So now it's day 3. The anxiety is increasing. I can't even remember. The food hasn't been good. So everything starts to pick up or decline. Friday, I wake up and I'm now exhausted. And I'm like, oh, I've got anxiety. It took me three days to figure out. Even though I felt it happen. It was like complete denial. Bizarre. So yesterday I took action to bring myself back down. And I've made some videos. I'll put up what I did yesterday. It went on, I sort of was going in and out of it. Then during the day I was doing something that I know helps the sympathetic nervous system ground and rebalance. And then it would rise again. And it was like this the whole day, up and down, up and down. I guess as I was going over what happened on Tuesday and talking to people about it. And then last night, couldn't sleep again. To the point that which I missed last night, I've been using every single method I've learned along this last bit. I was amazed last night at how much I've actually learned over the last couple of years. So last night I eventually used the TRE at about 20 to 1 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. 20 to 1, I'm like, okay, I'm exhausted, I want to sleep, and I used TRE. On my bed, it was a powerful session. This stuff is not Heishi Wow. It threw me the first time because there was such a radical reaction psychologically for me. But I was also going through a lot of stuff. But last night, I had such a TRE, it's a tremor release exercises. It's basically using shaking to get the stress, to get the trauma out of your body without having to do talk therapy. It's brilliant, and it's also working on the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. So I used this, and there was such a radical shake last night that my lower body actually shot up off the bed. I actually laughed. It was weird. So I did that, and then that is very, very relaxing. After that, I fell asleep, and then I woke up this morning, and what happens after the anxiety and the body's been, pumping cortisol and adrenaline for days, and you haven't slept, and is the crash. And I felt that the inevitable depression start to kick in this morning. Luckily, I had service this morning. I really, really suggest that if you're in recovery from anything or wanting to, that you take service, volunteer somewhere as part of your week. Even if it's just an hour somewhere, So I almost bailed this morning because I really I'm looking tired. I'm looking really, really shocking. And I had overslept because I'd only gotten to sleep late. I'm exhausted, and I looked like shit. And it's for recovery for substances, the service that I was going into. And I was like, these people are going to think I'm using. I mean, I look like I've relapsed. And I started to drive, and then I came home, and I was literally writing the message to say, I'm sorry, I can't make it this morning. But one of the, it's a commitment. And I think that's why they suggest we do it. I was like, no, you committed to this. You have to do it. It's a matter of integrity. And I started the car again, reversed into it, was driving there somewhat resentfully. They let them know I was going to be late. Got there late, walked in, and they looked at me like, And I said, I'm really, really sorry I'm late. I've had a very challenging week with some personal stuff. And I said, this is not a relapse. This is exhaustion and stress. I didn't want to go into the fact, that it was anxiety and depression. They all laughed. And in a group situation and with sharing and support and acceptance, by the end of it, I felt a lot better. I was really, really glad I had gone. I think support groups for these non-mental illnesses, these reactions to events that are stored in our bodies and maybe partly in our minds. We really need support groups. It's the first instinctual thing is to isolate because one's feeling vulnerable and scared, and it's the worst thing that can happen, especially with depression. I woke up and I was like, oh, if I leave this, there's going to be a problem. You have to take action immediately. You have to respond immediately as soon as you feel yourself beginning to sink, and it'll be after someone has something's triggered you to make you feel powerless. For me, that's what it is for me. Or angry, and I'm unable to respond. I've frozen. I have to react, and I have to tap into the anger. Anger is not a bad thing. I was saying this yesterday. It is a healthy response when somebody's hurting you or behaving like a muppet. It's to use it constructively. Thank God this week I have learned enough not to have responded to the situation on Tuesday yet. I'm waiting until Monday because recently I have been full of rage and I've been reacting instead of responding. So I'm choosing to respond on Monday. But I think the anger and all the feelings that went with it is obviously, I don't know, the triggers and stuff. I'm still tired, excuse me. So then I came home and it was still there. The despair, this is never going to change. There's a voice in my head that's been going for the last 2 days, a little girl voice saying, nobody believes me. I heard it last night. I'd said, I wish somebody would just believe me. And I was like, oh. Now, this is why it's very important. I've learned, and I hate it, to sit with the feelings because there's something under there that needs to be processed and come out. And this is why I don't necessarily agree with meds entirely. Because, and definitely not with drugs and alcohol. No recovery possible from trauma and abuse. So I heard it last night, and this morning I still had that feeling of, nobody believes me. I'm alone in this. I'm on my own, and I'm powerless to change it. It's never going to change. I have to just submit. I have to give in and just make the best of it. And the despair started to sink in, and it was coming this morning, and I was like, no, I've got to, and I've got to go out. I've got to go out. I said I would go out this afternoon, and I've got a date with a friend this evening, and I've already started to make excuses on how I'm going to cancel both and hide out in my place. I know enough about this to know that I can't. I have to go out, even though I don't feel like it. I'm going to go out, and it's going to be fun. So I'm up. I'm looking like hell. I did not do my yoga last night, as I said I would. I sat on social media scrolling endlessly and looking at absolute shit. Some funny posts, sure, but mostly crap. And then a very sad article that actually triggered me more. So I'm staying off it now for the next couple of days. It's a social media detox until I find stability. I should have done the yoga. That's the kind of willful. Although Richard Grannon says it's CPTSD, it's almost like your brain doesn't want to heal. So you hijack your own recovery. That's starting to make more sense to me than just saying it's addictive behavior. It's not. There's something deeper there. I'm going to do more investigation into that. But I'm back up now to do the yoga. I'm going to show you a little bit now about of what TRE looks like, because it's fascinating, and I really didn't believe it was real until I was given the opportunity to train a course with someone who was doing their final training, and then I was like, holy moly, this stuff, there's something going down here. So I'll do a little bit of shaking now to show you, or after yoga, because then I won't have to do the warm-up exercises for it. My muscles will be warm. And then, yeah, on we go. You know what? Just having made the decision to fuck that, I'm not going to be a victim. Oh, it's the ruminating. I was ruminating again, and I was like, I'm not going to do it. I don't care what's actually happened. Right now, I'm going to be present, and I'm going to have fun. Stop thinking about the past. Stop bitching about how awful it was. Get out of victim mentality. Yeah, anyway, doing the yoga, the depression that was starting, that I was panicking a bit about, in all honesty, has gone. I'm actually quite keen now to do some yoga. Yeah, sorry, I don't know. I feel like I'm being kind of flippant about this, and I'm really not being flippant about anxiety and depression. I've suffered really, really badly with it for the last 10 years. And you can see how tired I'm looking. So I'm not saying that this is easy or just snap out of it. Not at fucking all, excuse my language. What I'm saying is that if I catch it now, if I catch it fast enough before it progresses and use tools, it's really, really manageable. And that the more trauma and triggers I've processed, the less it's happening. This took me a little bit by surprise. That won't happen again. I'll be prepared next time. But it's quick. It's been 2 days too long of it. Could have cut it down to, could have cut it down to a day. Yeah, literally 24 hours if I'd been quicker off the mark. But yeah, I guess we learn as we go. Okay, into your belly. Let's do it for in for 4 counts, hold for 7, out for 8, through your nose, put your hand on your heart. That's not working for me today. Movement works very well for me. So dance. Load shedding, and I work from home, so I'm quite fortunate. But I reckon a lot of these routines should just be built into our everyday life. I mean, of course, we take care of the physical side. It helps with the mental side. So I am going to walk now. Come on. My dog. Feeling much better after playing the guitar. Can't find my car keys. Okay, let's go. I'll talk you through some of what I do as well. Maybe it'll help you. Hi. Okay, so self-care, vital for mental health. What do I want to say? Yeah, this is this is eating into my own self-care time, but really crucial, especially so the tools for the anxiety, because that's just a fight-flight response. The depression, freeze-fawn response, that's a different kettle of fish entirely. I found it a lot harder to get that right naturally. Personally, found the anxiety a lot more easy to manage and to figure out. The depression, there was a lot more denial, many more layers. It was a lot more confusing. But for that, tool-wise, nature, getting out and about into nature is and really good self-care. For me, it was hot showers, you know, creams, hot chocolates, really just nurturing myself through the depression, which has lifted entirely as well, by the way. I finally got it. I'm not going to be too cocky about it, but life situation hasn't changed much, and yet the depression has gone. So for me, every morning I walk my dog. I'm in my pajamas half still. I haven't showered yet this morning because of the little anxiety issue, but I come out like this regardless, because at this stage also I don't really give a shit what people think too much. I've dropped a lot of the pretenses. Very good for recovery from anxiety and depression. So here I am barefoot. I'm going to show you how I walk. Barefoot is best. It's actually amazing when you get into it. Excuse me, here we go. Got some sunlight here. That's my hula hoop. Shadow, cool. Okay, so barefoot, feel the earth under your feet. It's almost like a foot massage. Feels incredible, very grounding. Make eye contact, look up, and when people walk by, smile and say hi, and make eye contact. Hi. Hi, how are you doing? Okay, it's very difficult when you are in the middle of a emotional flashback. I'm not even going to call it anxiety and depression anymore. When you're in an emotional flashback, when you've been triggered and you've gone into the state, we all want to isolate, and withdraw makes it worse. So force yourself when you're out to make eye contact, smile, and just say hi. You know, that's going to help bring you out of it as well. Look around you. Focus on some things around you. Trees. Wow, look at the color of the sky. Look at the color of the sky. And trees, it's very lush at the moment. It's very green. Name things. Bring yourself back to the present. Because you're either in the past. Depression is ruminating. For me, I go back into the past. I get stuck there. Brings back the feelings and the emotions. I feel powerless and helpless, and that makes me depressed. So for depression, for me, it's usually taking action. A lot of self-care, and then taking some kind of action to empower me again. Tapping into the anger, that I couldn't before because I fawn and freeze. Oh. Hi. Why? I should be running. Can't with all this gear. Okay, because I fawn or freeze, that leads to the depression as well, the powerlessness, the feeling stuck, the despair that I can't change my circumstances and this is how it's going to be forever. So taking action helps me step back into my power a bit. I was saying tap into the anger. Anger is not a bad thing. You know, we're told that it's a bad, negative thing. It is not a bad thing. It's a natural response if you are being hurt. And it's okay to feel it, not to act on it. I've got a fight response as well. I can act out on my anger quite quickly. I either get very, very confrontational and quite aggressive. God, it's beautiful here at the moment, huh? There's a guy on a unicycle on a dirt road. Hilarious. Okay, but the fight response. Yes, it's okay to feel angry. It is normal and healthy, but use it constructively. You know, sit with it. Don't act out on it. Sit with it. Let it pass, and then take constructive action. That is going to help your depression big time. It is okay to be angry. Often it is the correct and healthy response to an abusive or traumatic or dangerous situation. Your brain is telling you that because it wants you to protect yourself. Why are we not taught this in school? This is one of my favorite spots, but I'm on the wrong side. Let me go down here because I'm like the crazy lady in my area here. People find it quite funny. But you know what? This creature has got it right. He's playing with his ball. It's a game. He's going to try and sink it. And then he's going to have to dig it up. I usually have to dig it up. But look at him. He's in the moment. He's present. He's not concerned with what people are thinking about him. He's here. He's enjoying himself. It feels nice. So I'm going to join him because he is smarter than many of us. He's got it right. I'm going in. It feels amazing. It's very soothing. And it's beautiful. It feels amazing, and I just want you to see why this is important, because it's here that I actually feel like I can breathe again. Some days I don't think city life and the pace and the busyness is healthy. I think that's why so many people are also, it's not just you know, the state of our society and social media, it's the living conditions, incredibly stressful, I think, for a human being. So I come out here every day if possible, just to ground myself and breathe and settle myself. I'm going to show you why. I mean, look at this place. Let me turn this around. I've lost my glasses. Okay, so we always swim here. We swim, wade. I wish I could swim. I'd be in here like a shark. Okay, but we come into this area. It's one of our stops every morning. The feeling of the cool water on my feet, wow, is really incredible and soothing. I can breathe for a bit and feel peaceful without all the buzz of the city, sounds and busyness. and aggression and fear and consumerism. And then I often sit here specifically while Toby plays, because he can keep himself occupied for ages with this ball. Have you got your ball? He's got his ball. He's so cute. Pets, by the way, incredible. But make sure you're healthy enough to look after one properly, please. Yeah, so I actually sit here while he plays, and this is where I meditate. And I'm going to do my meditation for you. It's a mishmash of various techniques and something that works for me. Sure you'll find one that works for you. Well worth getting into. What a place, huh? Okay, on we go. So I'm taking a day of self-care and working my program. I'm fortunate enough to be able to do this because I'm self-employed, although to be honest, over this last year dealing with this anxiety and depression, not dealing with the CPTSD and the PTSD, I have lost days just on self-care because I didn't want to go back onto meds. First I couldn't afford them, then I realized it was gone when I came off them, which clicked the final piece of the puzzle into place. So now I don't want to go back on them. I'm not going to, I don't need to. I know what's going on here at last. But the self-care is intense, and you know, if you are in a work environment and you are not self-employed, I don't see how it is possible to do it naturally. One doesn't have the time, simply doesn't have the time to address the mental health issue properly. You have to take meds just to function. Something very, very wrong with this picture. Very fucking wrong. Anyway, on we go. Okay, he's gonna sink his ball. Oh, that's so cute. You know, if I can't make eye contact with the people, then I at least say hello to the animals as I go past. It's contact. It's just, you know, making connection again. Very important to bring yourself back to the present as well. It's too deep for him to sink now. Thank God. I spent some time in these streams when it was pumping, coming out of winter, and they were deep, digging around for lost balls. Most of them I found, some are still here somewhere. Maybe we'll find them now. The simple things in life, eh? Be more like dogs. We're far too complicated. Yeah? There it is. Okay, moving on. I go off the beaten track. I don't see why. One should stay on the path. Adventure is good. It's fun. Fun is good. So that was the path there. I'm coming up here. And on we go. This is coming up to my favorite part. Okay, so now even though my body had stopped shaking after the singing, I was still moving super fast. I was rushing. Listen. She stopped now. Or he. So yeah, I was rushing. I was moving super fast. That's why I think you've been hearing me as a bit breathless. It's also the remnants of the smoking of the cigarettes, which I've stopped now as well. It was very easy in the end. Funny, yeah? Addiction. But I can actually feel myself starting to slow down now. I'm starting to walk more slowly. It means I'm coming back into the present. It works the opposite, by the way, for depression. You'll find you move more slowly probably when you're feeling depressed, and you'll slump down, try to tuck yourself in and hide yourself away. So you can shift your mental state with your physiology. Great tool as well. So since it was anxiety, that's not anxiety, since I was in an emotional flashback for the last 2 days, and because I've only discovered this recently, I was a bit slow to respond. Foolish. Coming up to someone now, I don't want to film them. Yeah, so it slowed down. When you're in an emotional flashback, that is the fight or flight response. That's anxiety. Morning. Hi. That's anxiety. Then slow down. Walk more slowly. Move more slowly. Focus on what you're doing. If you're brushing your teeth, be conscious, fully conscious of what you're doing. I think the Buddhists use this. I've heard, I don't know this well, but they do an exercise where they ring a bell. They walk very, very slowly. They ring a bell and they take one step. And then they ring a bell and they take one step. My understanding is that this practice is to make one fully conscious and present and in the moment. So that's a use. This is my church. This is my favorite spot in this whole walk. It's like a cathedral of trees. Okay, I never bring my phone, by the way. Switch off. In fact, I'm going to do a social media detox. And they're working here. I find I've been scrolling endlessly on social media again over these last couple of days. That's addiction. That's not wanting to sit with how one is feeling. So I distracted myself from this emotional flashback. When I should have just done what I'm doing today. I could have saved myself 2 days and a couple of bad nights sleep. Ended it quickly. I'm going to get on this like seriously now, because now I feel I'm ready to share this journey in full with other people. There's a big cause for it. So back to before my iPhone storage got, and it's an old iPhone by the way, I don't bother updating. That's another racket. It's an iPhone 4. If you're in an emotional flashback, that is a fight flight response, the anxiety, slow yourself down consciously, move slowly. Reverse for depression, you'll find yourself moving slowly and slumping. Pick it up, walk fast, be active, stand upright, don't hunch. You can shift your mental state with your physiology alone quite effectively. And then there's some tools by a person far more sharp with this stuff that I've been using. His name is Richard Grannon, and he is on YouTube. Unbelievable. I'll say it again. So I am going to put links onto the courses that he offers for free, because his intentions are to help and not to harvest your hard-earned time, and more importantly your attention. And this is totally doable. This is another beautiful place. I would actually swing on this rope. I've done it before because it's fun. It's fun, and fun is good, but my dog won't let me. He's worried I'm going to hurt myself, so that's not possible today. Anyway, I'm grounded. I'm back. I hope this helps some of you. Have a beautiful day. Yeah, I focus a lot on the physical management, using physical tools to manage, because I find when I'm in it, it's quite hard to apply the NLP and DBT, well, DBT I think gets quite physical as well, and CBT tools. Sometimes I resist, which Richard Grannon explains as well, as part of the CPTSD process. So I resist doing what I know I need to come back to the present. or step out of the emotional flashback. So I find if I just tackle it physically, it's a lot faster and it's easier for me to do personally. So these are my kind of physical applications. And then dance as well. I'm going to go on to dance and movement, yoga, physical training if you're that way inclined. I often, and I can't do it now because I've got all this gear on me, but I come without it, including my hula hoop. I leave in the car and I will break out into a run, full sprint, not a jog, a full sprint to get my heart rate up, barefoot. It feels great. And intermittent with walking, just to boost the endorphins as well, get the heart rate up and get the breathing going. Don't hold your breath. Find out, I also hold my breath often, especially during the fight flight response. Yeah, it's a beautiful day in Africa. These things are durable. It's not your fault. There's nothing wrong with you. Nothing wrong with you. This is not a mental illness. And you can manage it. I'm going to say it again. Don't come off your meds until you've dealt with the underlying trauma and or abuse. You'll need them to stay stable to deal with that stuff. But, you know, just medicating the symptoms, which is and I'm not even going to use anxiety and depression, but I'm going to say it for those that are just joining, the emotional flashbacks, the CPTSD and the PTSD. I've forgotten what I was going to say because it was so beautiful. Yeah, so just medicating the symptoms. Your body and your brain are trying to tell you something to change your circumstances, or that something is awry. So please don't be afraid to dig around and deal with it with a professional, because it's not going to go away otherwise. This is not a chemical imbalance. This is a natural response that now gets activated, sometimes incorrectly, sometimes correctly. And medicating the symptoms is not going to lead you to proper healing or mental health. If you are interested in the way this works further, there's an incredible physician and doctor called Dr. Gabor Mate, who's an addiction expert and also deals with the mind-body connection and where this all comes from. And he's been saying this for, I think it's like 20 or 25 years and being largely ignored. I've seen videos going back, and the frustration on this guy's face, because he knows what he's talking about. This guy's next level sharp and has walked the path as well. And people, the medical fraternity specifically, have not been willing to listen because they want to name these as diseases and medicate you, because that's also a racket. Sorry, follow the money. So he talks about, I'll put a video on here, he talks about trauma, childhood trauma, and he's not just saying like massive amounts of trauma. Neglect is one of the worst forms of it that a child can experience, and that can happen, and it does happen all the time, just with stressed out, busy parents. But these are not diseases. They want to name them like that so that they can medicate you. There's a video below. Okay, so a little bit more about how this works, because now I just experienced it again. On Tuesday, I was in a stressful situation. It's load shedding at the moment, that's why it's so dark. A stressful situation. I knew it was going to be stressful. It's an adult situation. And there were, you know, I'm getting through the days with no anxiety at this point, and the depression seems to be sorted as well. Like I said, I'm not going to be too gung-ho about that right now, but it's, I haven't had a problem with it for some time now. But on that particular day, in a stressful environment, there were 3 triggers that I was aware of, And then in a meeting situation, there was an authority figure that reminded me from someone in my history that was behaving quite abusively. So on top of that, I felt myself go into anxiety as this person was shouting at me. My body started to shake, and I was like, oh, there it is. The sympathetic nervous system has kicked in. But then I left it, which is ridiculous. I didn't clock it. I will in future, because this is a big lesson for me, because it's taken a lot of work today to bring it back down. But for the last couple of days, and I'm working recovery, so I've been doing yoga and I've been doing my walks and exercise. I've been eating regularly. The coffee's been a bit bad. I've stopped smoking cigarettes. I'm meditating. I'm going to meetings and my support groups. I'm doing service. I'm volunteering. So I've got everything working. But I did notice that I started to sit on social media and endlessly scroll. I've had 2 nights of staying up very late, which I hate because I do like my sleep. Late for me, like 1 o'clock in the morning late, watching videos on YouTube. I mean, fair game, it's my researchy stuff, the stuff that I'm interested in, this recovery stuff. But 1:30 in the morning, and I wake up pretty early nowadays. That was 2 nights in a row. And then I finished an entire packet of biscuits. And I'm off sugar. And I knew I was doing it. So all of those addictive behaviors came out. The trying to get out, obviously escape what was happening, the way I was feeling. So I managed to avoid it for 2 days. This morning I woke up. And I think with a lack of sleep, particularly. That's my dog paying his ball. Dunk, dunk. The lack of sleep today, that I could feel the anxiety in my body again. And so I used the tools and stuff. I'm okay now. What I didn't do today, or what I did do after, the walkies thing this morning, I'm going to do some yoga now. It's quite nice to do it at night with candlelight and then have a good meditation afterwards. What I didn't do today was a lot of coffee, for a change. I'm quite into my coffee at the moment. I laid off it today. I didn't do sugar today. Excuse me. I made sure I ate regularly today. Didn't skip meals. I went to a meeting and I shared, honestly, about what I was experiencing, and that helped me connect with a few other people that were going through something similar. So we chatted and there were hugs, and that kind of support is invaluable. I was actually off on my way to do service this evening at a hospital, but that fortunately got cancelled at the last minute because I'm really, really tired after these last 2 days. It floors one. I don't know. I mean, I remember going day after day with this anxiety running at some stages, and I send strength out to people that are still trying to function through it, because 2 days of it, and I can feel myself physically exhausted again. So I even had a small nap, a 45-minute nap before I was supposed to leave to do service this afternoon. This is recovery for me. I'm looking after myself for a change, which is remarkable for me. So yeah, that was some more of the stuff that I did do today. After I ate and I had the lie down and got up, still exhausted, ready to go on this mission, I felt like I had landed. So I'm back. But I'm this is the way this stuff works. This is now being off the meds and being quite coherent. And I sat with the feelings this afternoon. When I woke up, I ran through Tuesday and I had a light bulb moment and I made the connection. Okay, so that was an hour of I do Ashtanga, old school. I do an hour practice. The full practice I think is an hour and a half or an hour and 45 minutes. It's hardcore. And I've done this for almost 19 years, and I don't think I've never completed the full practice in 19 almost years, but it's something to aspire to. So I use Ashtanga for the depression. It's challenging physically. I like yoga because the breath is probably the most important part of the practice. So it's very good for mindfulness. And then I meditated afterwards because that gets me ready to meditate. Busy mind, but it slows the mind down. It's what it's traditionally used for. It's not actually an exercise. It's a practice to get people ready for meditation. So I would do, if one is suffering from anxiety, fight or flight, probably yin yoga is more relaxing. Ashtanga, if you are battling with addiction, careful because it's addictive though, or depression. And then I believe Kundalini is very good, although also dangerous for addiction because it gets you quite high. So yeah, yoga. I'm going to be putting videos, free videos, online eventually, so that people can just log onto the website, and hit a button, and there'll be tools that they can do online. But see, I'm getting a little bit of color back, feeling a little bit better already. And now on we go. There was something I forgot. Reading last night. I'm also reading the Bhagavad Gita. Some kind of spirituality. I don't want to scare people off, but it's all philosophy is good as well to just put things into perspective. And there's always wisdom. Last night it was very much about not being trying to control the outcome of things, taking action, but not being committed or focused on the outcome of things again. So maybe I'll put a snapshot of what I was reading last night on. It really helped after the TRE to settle my mind. This is a lot of practice and exercises and tools and training, huh? But like I said, if I had started immediately, I would have, I reckon, like 24 hours made free. Anyway, I'm going to go dancing just now. Dancing and movement, also fantastic. There was something I wanted to do. Okay, I'll show some TRE now. I'm not going to show you yoga in case it puts people off that are just starting out. The whole thing about it is to be in your body, and on any given day, how you feel and what you can do will be different. So it's non-competitive, even with yourself. It's an amazing practice. Let me just Okay, let's see if you can see this. Okay, so this is TRE. Don't know if you pick it up on here. I'm just going to do the last exercise to get ready because I've done the yoga already. My muscles should be ready. Just to give you an idea of how it works. You can see that the body is starting to jump already by itself. So that means the muscles should be ready. See if you can get this, because it's quite weird. I didn't really believe it was real until I did it. It's pretty strange, eh? Hey, guy, it freaks my dog out completely. It's okay. Doesn't like it at all. Okay, and then in between, you can do it for longer periods of time. You break, and you just let the body integrate it. It's fascinating stuff. It definitely releases tension or anxiety in the body and calms the things down. So that's what I did last night to help me sleep.